Hello BookTube. Today I'm going to be doing the recycling book tag. This tag was created by David Wardrop and I learned about it from Steve Donoghue's video. So both of their videos will be linked down below. Let's begin with the prompts. Going green. Name a book with green on the cover or in the title. I'm going to be going with The Dragonbone Chair by Ted Williams. Sorry about the glare. This is the first book in the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy. I haven't read it yet, so I need to correct that at some point during this year. And I picked it up from Golden's Book Exchange about a year or two ago, so yeah, reusing it or recycling it. So prompt number 2, reduce. A thin or small book you own. Well, for this prompt, a lot of the Tor.com novellas or short novels I think are very appropriate. And for this, I selected A Taste of Honey by Ashante Wilson. This is the second novella he wrote. This is the prequel follow-up to Sorcerer of the Wild Deeps. I quite liked Sorcerer of the Wild Deeps. This one I had a few more issues with. I was never quite sure what Ashante Wilson was going after here, since the bulk of the story is like a what if. That there's sort of a frame where, or it's revealed at the end, that the entire story is basically a what if. And it just, I never quite, yeah. So, I do need to give this a reread though. And also Sorcerer of the Wild Deeps. I haven't read either one since about 2017, so I need to get back on reading that one. Reuse. A book you have that's well worn. I'm going to go with Knife of Dreams by Robert Jordan. This is book 11 of the Wheel of Time. And as you can see from the spine, it's been beaten up. I picked this one up, I want to say from the Friends of the Library book sell alcove at the West Waco Library and Genealogy Center. Okay, number 4, a book, recycle. A book you have reread or most handled. I will go with China Mieville's Perdido Street Station. Again, very beaten up spine. I love this book, although obviously this appeared in my last video where I think it is, the ending is a bit anticlimactic for my tastes, but I love this book and I'm looking forward to giving this another reread sometime this year. Prompt number 5. Don't throw away. What is your oldest book or a book you refuse to part with? I'm going to go with Dryland's End by Felice Picano. I think when I did my library tour, I mentioned this is probably the worst science fiction novel I've ever read that I actually finished. And it's, yeah, it's just really bad. And I can't bring myself to part with it. It's, because I read it when I first bought it, when I was in San Francisco. I don't remember if I bought this at the San Francisco State University bookstore or at a gay bookstore on the Castro. I don't remember. I want to say I bought it at the San Francisco State bookstore, but I could be wrong. But anyway. But I read it when I first got it. I didn't particularly care for it. I do need to give it a reread though. It's been well over 10 years since I read it. And I need to yeah. But I've never been able to bring myself to actually get rid of it. So, yeah. That was Dryland's End. One of these days, I think if and when I do reread that one, I will give a full-throated review, whether it's to rip it to shreds or, oh, I was wrong. And I actually do like it now. One of the two. But anyway. And Steve, at the end of his video, wanted to ask us if we recycle, and if so, how. Unfortunately for me, I can't recycle as easily. I live in an apartment. It is a weird apartment. Rather than being a complex, the building was a business at one point that was later converted into 2 apartments. Used to be 3, but the third was converted into an office for a mechanic shop that is behind that wall. And yes, I can hear them working sometimes. So, yeah. So, since I do live in an apartment, the only trash that is provided is a big blue dumpster and no real way to recycle. This is fairly common from my experiences living in apartment complexes in Central Texas. Although, if you do live in like a house, either you're buying it or you're renting it, you can ask the city, because when I lived in Waco, we asked the city of Waco to provide a recycling trash can, or recycling can, and the other one. And every other week, Waco runs the recycling dump truck. I have, on occasion, collected a lot of paper and bags and stuff, and then took them directly to the local recycling center. But I don't have a car or easy access to a car, so it is unfortunately quite difficult for me to recycle. But I do try to reduce as much garbage as I use and to reuse as much as I can. So anyway, so that was the recycling book tag. If you want to do this tag, go ahead. If you want to talk about your experiences with recycling, please do so. And I will talk to you probably in another video later on today. Or maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But until then, thank you, BookTube.